Jai Sri Nrshmadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. So for here in Mayapur, it's the day after Lord Nrshmadev's appearance day, but for all of you in America, Mexico, and Europe, you're still celebrating. And according to my calculation, it's probably dusk your time or slightly after dusk, right? So Lord Nrshmadev should be appearing right now out of the pillar. And I also wanted to mention before we begin today's class, on the 12th of May was the disappearance day of Jayananda Prabhu. And Jayananda Prabhu, Prabhupada said, was a pure devotee of Krishna. And he wanted his disappearance day celebrated everywhere. I'm not sure if it's done everywhere. And you'll see on the Rath Yatra cards, Jayananda Prabhu's picture is there because he was the first devotee to inaugurate Rath Yatra in the Western world. He inaugurated the first San Francisco Rath Yatra, the first New York Rath Yatra, and the first Los Angeles Rath Yatra, although he didn't live long enough to see the first Los Angeles Rath Yatra, but it was his inspiration. So on May 12th, in Mayapur, I was asked to give a class on Jayananda Prabhu, and I felt very inspired by recollecting the nature and character of Jayananda Prabhu and how that manifested in his activities, and many devotees said they also felt that from hearing the class. So if you'd like to hear that class, it is on the archives. If you go to Mayapur TV, you go to archives, you go down, down, down. It'll come to my name, and then it will say May 12th, 2014 for that class. And then previously I gave another class, perhaps a month earlier, and I'm not sure if it's there, but it's a class that a lot of devotees didn't hear, and they said they wanted to hear it because they heard from others that it was helpful. I never know myself. Sounds like I'm proud, but I'm just repeating what they said. So if you want to access that, you can look and see if it's there. And if it is there, then Guru Nishna, there's software that can turn these videos into audio files, I believe. I don't know if you know how to do that, but if you do, then you could do that, and they could be uploaded on my YouTube channel, which would be easier for people. Or then we'd have that in our archives, which would be nice, because I think it's important that devotees hear about Jayananda Prabhu. And what I spoke about in the previous class is also important. So, today we want to recollect some things about the pastimes of Lord Nrshmadev. We spoke about last week, we spoke about the pastimes. And we also, last year, had spoken about the pastimes. And I'm sure you are familiar with the story. So I wanted to isolate some specific things we could learn from the story. And when Krishna performs his pastimes, he teaches many things simultaneously. And Krishna's pastimes should be seen like a drama in which Krishna is both the producer, director, and the lead actor. It is a drama because we call them transcendental pastimes. In other words, a drama in the sense that they're not under the control of the modes of nature. They didn't just happen because of people's karma or coincidence or accident, and it's not. So drama means something which is created, thought up in someone's mind, and then enacted to make it appear like real life when it is not. So the element of drama in Krishna Lila is, number one, it's not real life, but number two, it happens on this plane. So it appears to be real life, but as we said, it's transcendental, so it's not real life in that sense. But it's real life in the sense that it's happening on this planet with living beings in real time who are not aware that they're acting. They're totally unaware of that. And the only one really aware of it is Krishna. And Krishna, as the director and producer, is making everything happen. So he's making people act according to his will and desire. So they act perfectly. He doesn't have to train them how to act as a director would. He's just within their heart making them act that way, just like we have the example of Arjuna. So Arjuna is Krishna's eternal friend, and whenever Krishna comes to this planet or any planet, Arjuna comes. So Arjuna is eternally coming with Krishna to perform this Leela, Mahabharata, and particularly here, the Bhagavad Gita. Now, it's said, and we can see from Bhagavad Gita, that in the beginning, even though Arjuna is Krishna's friend, there's some kind of maya there, some kind of lack of surrender or inability to follow Krishna's instructions. But we understand that in order for Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita, he needed to speak it to somebody who was in illusion. So he put Arjuna into illusion. It was not Arjuna's willful illusion, as it would be for us, but it was Krishna's desire. It is not. You could say it's Krishna's desire that we're in Maya, but it's indirectly his desire. It's his desire that he has given us free will, which we misuse, but it's not actually his desire that we're in Maya. It's only indirectly his desire. His desire is that we utilize our free will to serve him, but he gives us the free will not to serve him. So in that way, indirectly, it's his desire. But he didn't put us into Maya as he put Arjuna into Maya. So Prabhupada said, the Maya that Arjuna was put in was almost like Yoga Maya, not exactly Mahamaya, because he was put in that Maya by Krishna. And so then, being in that Maya, he would ask all the questions that Krishna wanted him to ask, because those are the questions Krishna wanted to answer. So then he perfectly plays his part, not understanding that actually he's put in Maya by Krishna, and this is an eternal Leela. So when things happen in Krishna's pastimes which are not always explainable from the material perspective, we say, well, it's Leela. So when Krishna organizes his Leelas, he picks people to play the parts. He picks what parts they'll play. He from within inspires them either as Paramatma or through Yoga Maya, his internal potency, to bewilder them or cause them to act in different ways, and then he can execute his Leela. So there were a couple of things Krishna wanted to do by executing his Leela, but one thing which is common to all Leelas is that when Krishna performs his Leelas, he doesn't do things which are ordinary. If he did things which were ordinary, no one would have any interest in the Leela, that we wouldn't be excited about talking about them. They would just put us to sleep. What did he do? He came, and he went to a restaurant, and he ate, and then he went to a movie, and then he got a taxi, and he went to his apartment, and then he read the newspaper, and then he went to sleep, and then he got up, and he went to work. Right? Not very interesting, is it? As is the life of most people. Not very interesting. And some people have more interesting lives, and those are the kind of people you see in documentaries and television shows. You know, the person, like that singer from Elton John. I once saw something, he had a swimming pool in his living room. Okay, that's a little bit interesting. Who has a swimming pool in their living room? So, he's very wealthy, so, so that's interesting. So, you watch the show for 20 minutes, and then, okay, I've seen enough of Elton John, his life's not that interesting. And he personally, he's an interesting character, but not that interesting. Not that I could read about him, 50 volumes of Elton John. If we have 50 volumes of Bhagavatam, that's not even enough, because Krishna is very interesting, what he does. And so, every time Krishna comes and performs Leela, he does it so that we have something more to interest us in Krishna, because we're very interested in the material world, right? And there are many interesting things in the material world, and there are many things to deviate us So the material world, because it's Krishna's energy, it has interest. It's ultimately, material world is composed of Brahman. So ultimately everything is Krishna, and Krishna's energy is attractive because Krishna is attractive. But its attraction it's not a yoga. It doesn't bring us closer to Krishna. The attraction for matter takes us further away. But it is attractive, for sure, right? Things are, beautiful sunsets and this and that. And so one man said, with Prabhupada, and said, the sunset was beautiful. And Prabhupada said, that beauty is Krishna, and Krishna, just one spark of ray from Krishna's feet is more beautiful than thousands of sunsets. So Prabhupada was just comparing the beauty of Krishna to the beauty of a sunset. So we're attracted to the beauty of a sunset because we have not yet developed our attraction to Krishna. So if Krishna doesn't come and do something which is more attractive than a sunset, and more attractive than a boxing match, and more attractive than Iron Man and Avatar and all these movies, then we're just going to go to the movies and watch Avatar and Iron Man and whatever else there is out there, the Matrix and this and that, and all the special effects, the Hollywood special effects. So Krishna, he comes, he doesn't need special effects because he's already special. What he does, they need special effects because they're just ordinary people acting. So Krishna does his leelas to attract us to him. Every leela, Krishna does that. So his pastimes are all extraordinary. So that's fundamental to every leela. Now, we are talking about Lord Nrshmadev. We could be talking about Elton John. I don't know why we would want to be, but I'm sure there are many people that are interested in him. And just like if you go in a bookstore, you'll find many books about the life of rock and roll stars. You can find the books about all the Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger. And there's people that are interested in them, but they don't become liberated by reading about the Beatles or Mick Jagger or Elton John. It might be stimulating, it might be interesting, it's more entertaining probably than anything. So when we hear about Krishna, what happens? We become liberated, we become purified, we become, at the end of, if you read the Bhagavatam, at the end of many pastimes it says if you read this pastime you'll get a benediction. We hear about Lord Nrshmadev. We become free from material desire, we become fearless, we become peaceful, and just aside from the benedictions, just hearing about Lord Nrshmadev, we become enlivened, inspired, and blissful, and purified. So, that is universal with all Krishna's pastimes. Now, another thing which is universal, but at the same time specific to each pastime, is what Krishna wants to accomplish in his pastime. So, because pastime, the word pastime is not commonly used in American English, it may be used in British English, and it's a word Prabhupada used. We would say activities, Krishna's activities, your activities. We wouldn't say, what's Prem Kishore's pastimes? Prem Kishore's pastimes is surfing. So we would, Prem Kishore probably never talked about his pastimes of surfing. He talked about the time he went surfing, and the times he went surfing, or his surfing activities. But the word pastime, as it's defined in relation to Leela, it means you do something by your sweet will. It's what you want to do. It's not something you have to do or something that you're in any way limited by. Okay, I want to do this, but there are limitations. Pastime means sweet will, at least as it's used in reference to Krishna's pastimes. So this is totally not under the control of the modes of nature, and everything that's going on in the pastime is going on exactly the way Krishna wants it. It's like you may take a vacation, you get a hotel, but the hotel is not exactly the way you wanted it. The window doesn't face the beach, the air conditioning doesn't work, or it makes too much noise, you can't sleep. You can't adjust it, so it gets too cold, and then you end up freezing. And they serve you papayas, but it's not papaya season yet, so they're not quite ripe. And you can't just turn your room around so you have a window view. Or, I mean, you could try to get one, pay more, and get one. So yes, the more money you have, the more you can do things according to your will. But still, you have limitations. You can't just do anything. But Krishna's pastimes is Krishna decides this is how I want it, and because he's God, that's how it's going to be. And so he wants to accomplish certain things in his leelas. In this leela, one of the things he wanted to accomplish, excuse me, something in Mayapur I'm allergic to. Not every day, and I can't figure out why one day I am and one day I'm not. So, in this pastime, one of the desires Krishna had to fulfill was his desire to fight. Now, Rasika's thinking, fight? I don't like to fight. And Prem Kishore's thinking, cool, Krishna likes to fight, yeah. Jai Gopal's going, Nrshmadev ki jai, Jai Nrshmadev, kill the demons, yeah. And the women are like scratching their head, fight? I want to fight. It's all about love and relationship and peace and harmony. Right? All the guys and the big tattoos of Lord Nrshmadev and big muscles. And, yeah, Nrshmadev, kill the demons, ah. And the women are looking at these guys going, grow up, get a life. What's wrong with you? You want to be Hell's Angel or what? So, but, yeah, boys like to fight. When I grew up, one of my memories of growing up is wrestling with my friends. So, I'd go to my friend's house and go, you want to wrestle? Yeah, let's wrestle. And we'd wrestle. And the girls are like, why would you do that? Why would you wrestle with your friends? That's stupid. You wrestle with your enemies. No, it's fun. And the cowherd boys, they wrestle and play and do so many things. So, now, but there is a tendency, which is called the Kshatriya tendency, and you see this heroic, chivalrous tendency that some people have, they're born with. They're willing to give their lives for a cause, give their lives for a country, or in the religious sense, give their lives for dharma, for protecting innocent people. There is that sense. People have that sense that I'd like to fight, I want to fight. And it's said in the Gita that when there's a fight and the Kshatriyas become inspired and enlivened, they actually like to fight. It's not that they want to sit around. Even in today's world, even though the people are not such through and through Kshatriyas, a lot of people in the military want war. They just don't want to sit around and practice war games. They want to actually go out and do it. That's their nature. And as we see, as I was saying, young boys, they fight all the time. I remember, I don't know, you'll think I'm crazy why I would remember this, but this stands out in my memory. When I was it was either kindergarten or first grade, I can remember this clearly. And I think it seems so weird to me today, that's why I remember it. Every day when I would go to school, I had a friend, and his name was Glenn Musiker or something like that. And I'd say, you want to fight? Or he'd say, you want to fight? And we would just like wrestle or something for like 30 seconds or a minute. That was like how we started our day. So we do have a fighting propensity. There's many, many men who are not in the Kshatriya spirit, who are more in the spirit of just fighting, like gangs. Gangs aren't really so much into protection. Kshatriya's into protection. So when you're just fighting for the sake of fighting, like boxers and so forth, that's Sudra. Kshatriyas are protecting. So they fight to protect. They don't just fight because they could beat somebody up. Or they don't fight because somebody gave them a bad look or cut them off in traffic or something. That's not Kshatriya. But still, the fighting propensity is there. So, Prabhupada would say, any propensity we have, Krishna has. Yes? Because we can't have it unless he has it. Because everything comes from him. So, Krishna likes to fight. Who's he going to fight? Is he going to, say, Radharani, let's have a boxing match? No, of course not. He'll only show affection. He'll touch Radharani's feet. He'll serve her. He'll dance with her, play with her. Same thing with the cowherd boys. They do mock fighting. They're not really fighting because there's affection, there's love. How can you really fight aggressively with someone you love? You can't. So they fight, but they're faking it. They're fooling around. They're having fun. They're not really fighting. Just like in first grade when I'm fighting with this friend, it's fun. We're not trying to hurt one another. Right? But you're in a gang and you're fighting. You're trying to hurt somebody. That's, there are people who just really like to fight and they look for opportunities to fight. Like in martial arts, when you're taught martial arts, you're taught how to do many things to avoid fighting. So it's more of a Kshatriya mood, how to resolve and pacify without fighting. But if you're Sudra, it's just, you like to fight. So, Sudra or less. Sudra is probably a compliment for people in the West. But you understand the principle that fighting ultimately is meant to protect people. But when it gets degraded, it's just to show your strength or bully or dominate or just gratify your sense of ego that you could beat up somebody. So the point is, Krishna has it in its purest state. And so Prabhupada explained that now who is Krishna going to fight? He's got to fight people who are against him, and Krishna likes to fight. And so what happened? Well, as you know, the four Kumaras went to Vaikuntha, 7 gates to get in, and they had no problem getting in. They came to the 7th gate. Jai and Vijay said, "You're just young boys, you don't belong here." And they said, "Wait a minute, we got through 6 gates. We're liberated souls. We're coming to see Lord Narayan." It's like, let's say you're a VIP, and there's a lot of security around a VIP event, and maybe you're one of the better examples. You're one of the VIPs who organized the event, and then you're going into the event, and you get stopped by security, and they say you can't go in. You say, "What do you mean I can't go in? I'm one of the organizers." "Well, where's your card?" "Well, I don't need a card. I'm one of the organizers." "No, we have to check on you." Something like that. It's like, we're the four Kumaras. We don't need ID. Everybody knew that. We got in 6 gates. What's wrong with you? So, as the story goes, as you know, they cursed Jai and Vijay that they would have to take birth in the material world as demons. And, as the story goes, that was arranged by Krishna. So it really wasn't the fault of the Kumaras. He inspired them to do that, to enact his Leela. And that's how the Leelas work. As I said, Krishna's inspiring. So if you're in Krishna Leela and Krishna's inspiring you to do something, there's no karma. So 4 Kumaras did not get any karma for offending Jai and Vijay because that was all Krishna's desire. So it was just service. And it was not their own free will choice. Krishna made them do it as part of his Leela by the Yogamaya energy to fulfill Krishna's desire. So, Krishna came out and Kumaras realized that they had done something wrong. Krishna said, "No, it's not a problem. I actually want them to go to the material world and become demons, because as long as they remain in the bhav, or the nature and emotion of devotees, I'm not going to fight them." But Krishna likes, the thing is, you think, well, why didn't he just pick Hitler or something and descend and just, fight Hitler? Why did he make his devotee a demon? Because he likes to fight with his devotees. All right, that's God. You say, I don't understand. He likes to do things with his devotees. He enjoys that. It's not enjoyable to Krishna. You see, for demons, Krishna just has weapons and natural disasters. And, it's like, it's not, But if his devotee becomes a demon, that's relishable. And therefore, rather than just throw Sudarshan Chakra and end it in 3 seconds, he gets to fight. So, I don't know if you're aware of this, but an interesting thing happened when Lord Nrshmadev came out of the pillar. He didn't come out of the pillar at dusk. He didn't appear at dusk. He was killed at dusk. And he had to be killed at dusk because he was given the benediction he wouldn't be killed in the day or the night, so that for him to be killed and the benediction to be kept intact, he had to be killed at dusk. So we say, we fast till dusk, but it's not actually when he appeared. He appeared at noon, and he was killed at dusk. So what did Lord Nrshmadev do from noon to dusk? He fought with Hiranyakashipu. They had a good fight, right? And Krishna, man, that's a good fight, it was like 6 hours or so, 6-7 hours. Of course, Krishna doesn't get tired, but Lord Nrshmadev is the manifestation of Krishna's anger. So, when you're angry, you can fight. Really fight. If you're not angry, you can't fight. And Prabhupada said that Krishna spoke to Arjuna to get him angry because Arjuna had become like a Brahmin. So, no, I don't want to fight. And Arjuna had become full of compassion, just I'll go beg or I'll be killed. I'll let these people live. It's not right. They're my teachers. They're my relatives. Even though they're wrong, it's also wrong to kill them. So Prabhupada said, okay, Arjuna is like, he's a devotee, so he thinks this way. But on the other hand, he's a Kshatriya, and you can't think that way if you're a Kshatriya. After the battle, okay, you can think that way. But during the battle, if you think that way, you're not going to fight. So Prabhupada said, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to get Arjuna angry, because if you're not angry, you won't fight. You can't fight. It's just, Arjuna totally went into a Brahminical mode, totally sattvic mode, and a mode of very deep compassion. And in that mood, there's no question of fighting, which is why Brahmins don't fight, because that's their mood. So that is the mood of a devotee, but he had a duty to do, and his duty, he couldn't function in his duty in that mode. Just like if you're a manager, you can't just chant 64 rounds a day and read Bhagavatam all day if you're a manager. You actually have to do something. You have to at least tell people what to do. You have to move around. There has to be some passion in there, some creation, right? So if someone's just entirely a Brahmin who just likes to read and study and teach, it can be difficult for him to run a temple and difficult for people in the temple because he doesn't do anything to make anything happen. So, anyway, here's Lord Nrshmadev. He's the personification of anger. So now he appears at noon, and that gives him plenty of time to fight, because that was one of the reasons he came. He wanted to fight. There's nobody to fight with in the spiritual world. He had to come to the material world. And who does Krishna want to fight with? He's going to fight with some little wimp? And in the material world, even the biggest demons, they're not very strong. So, as we learn from Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu was so strong. All the demigods were afraid of him. Even Narada Muni was afraid of him. Everybody was afraid of him. He overtook Indra's kingdom. Just, okay, Indra, you're out. All the demigods, demigods are powerful people. They're in charge of the universal affairs. They were afraid of him. When he was doing his austerities, it was like an eco-disaster. It was like the whole earth was getting topsy-turvy. Talk about climatic change and what else? What are the other names? Heating, global warming, and this and that. This was way beyond that. His austerities just toppled the universe down, and he got so much power. Everyone was afraid of him. Nobody could deal with him. There was nobody powerful enough to deal with him. So the demigods, they came to Lord Brahma and said, look what's going on. Or they came to Vishnu. Vishnu said, don't worry. I will come to protect Prahlad and then I will kill him. And Lord Nrshmadev was the only one who could kill Hiranyakashipu. So anyway, now Krishna could have some fun because Hiranyakashipu is like strong and tough and powerful. Of course, by Krishna's standard, not really, nobody's really that strong and powerful, but at least as strong and powerful as you could get in the material world, which would then make it a little more fun for Krishna to fight, because, you know, a little more challenging, more interesting. So that's why Krishna empowered Hiranyakashipu to be a huge demon, so that he could have some enjoyment fighting. So then Krishna fights for whatever, 6, 7, 8 hours, has a good fight. And of course, Lord Nrshmadev could have done his heart surgery, intestinal surgery on Hiranyakashipu within a few seconds, but he didn't. He had fun. And also, Prabhupada explains something quite interesting. He let Lord Nrshmadev think that maybe there was a possibility that he could kill him. And Lord Nrshmadev knew this was Vishnu. And so, Hiranyakashipu knew Lord Nrshmadev was Vishnu. So, Lord Nrshmadev let Hiranyakashipu think that maybe you could kill me. And for Hiranyakashipu, there would be nothing higher than killing Vishnu. That would be like the ultimate, because Vishnu was Hiranyakashipu's arch enemy, because Vishnu had killed his brother, Hiranyaksha. So, if Hiranyakashipu could kill Vishnu, that would be the greatest happiness he could get. So here was his opportunity, and he tried, and they had a good fight. And sometimes Nrshmadev would let him feel or think that he's winning. Just like, you know, if you're making a good movie and the hero just beats everybody up, it's not exciting. But if he beats everybody up, but then all of a sudden he comes to one guy and it looks like this guy is getting the best of him, and it looks like this guy might beat him up, then it gets exciting, and then you start worrying, maybe you even cry. Is he actually going to get beat up? He's my hero. How could he get beat up? So that's what Lord Nrshmadev was doing. As I said, he's the director, he's the producer, it's a drama, so he's also making it interesting. But there's another lesson that Prabhupada says that was taking place. He said, our position is similar because we're in Maya and we're in the grips of Maya. In case you didn't know, we are in the grips of Maya. Grips, like this. We are being gripped by Maya. That means the modes of nature control everything in the material world, and unless we are transcendental to the modes, we are gripped by Maya. And even if we're transcendental to the modes, the laws of nature still function when you have a material body. Unless you're very transcendental, you could even defy natural law through your mystic power. But generally speaking, the laws of nature work on us, correct? So, I just looked at something you wrote and I forgot. All right, he wants to get the details about the operation. So, what was I just saying? What was my train of thought? Help me. So, he's powerful, he's fighting. What was the point I was making? Stop and pause, go back, listen to the recording, and then remember. Well, what was my logic? We were talking about Lord Nrshmadev, on the modes of nature. Oh yeah, this is his pastime. He organized it this way. So I remember. So Prabhupada said, in a similar way, we're in Maya. Maya has us completely under a grip, but she loosens the grip. And that gives us optimism. Well, I could actually be happy here, and things aren't that bad. I did recover